All right, everyone. Right now, there are impeachment proceedings against the President of the United States based on the false premise of election interference, among other things. That's really what it's about. It has nothing to do with the actual core complaint at the center of the Ukraine testimony. It goes beyond Trump is bad, Trump took us in the wrong direction, we disagreed with Trump for bureaucratic reasons, and he should know better because Orange Man bad. At the core of it, the sub-claim is election interference. It is a direct offshoot of the failed Mueller probe and the failed claim that Russia interfered in the U.S. election in 2016. It never happened. There were Russian troll farms that were involved in making some memes and buying some ads. That's happened for years, and it isn't just Russia doing it. Pretty much every country with the sophistication necessary to field such a thing does so. The U.S. has tens of thousands of fake Facebook accounts operated by the U.S. Air Force. This is old news. That's from the late 2000s. I remember seeing that article. There's plenty of interference that goes on. Propaganda is rife online. Not everything that you see online that is supposedly organic and grassroots actually is. Look at Warren's meme team. The fact that they flubbed the rollout of their attempt doesn't really mean much of anything. Apparently I don't know exactly what happened, by the way, with that, because it seems like they're not actually making any memes. Maybe it's all just some weird mental thought experiment from the brainchild there, that one PhD dude that actually organized it. Maybe this is more his own private research than it is anything specifically for Elizabeth Warren, just to see what the internet's reaction would be to such a thing, conducting a little bit of analysis. If so, then good job. You got plenty of data. It's going to take you a while to sort through it, I think. Be very careful about correlation and causation when you're doing so. Here's what I would say. Election interference by foreign states usually takes one of the following two forms. Number one, it didn't happen, which is the case with most of the claims about Russia, apparently some of the claims with regards to Ukraine, a lot of others. Or it's ineffective because election interference in that manner of direct propaganda is very, very difficult for states generally to actually use properly. The U.S. military now has a whole group of people delving just into the concept of mimetic warfare. It's becoming a new thing because of the way information technology operates. But it's number one in its infancy. Number two, it is extremely chaotic. Some person making a random paint image in their fucking basement is just as adept at having a meme go viral or a video or whatever as any mainline tech firm or a troll farm would be, or even maybe a military attaché. That's why the big tech firms are clamping down on things. They're trying to prevent that from happening so that centralized government forces and corporate forces can more ably override organic popular will. They're afraid of foreign states more than they should be, and they're using that as an excuse to gain more power. But here we have an open admission to election interference. Facebook came out the other day and said, well, no, if a candidate for public office has been previously banned, no, absolutely, they can't have a Facebook page. So in other words, what you're saying is that someone who has been previously arbitrarily labeled edgy by Facebook cannot actually utilize Facebook for their electioneering. That's unacceptable because it puts them at a disadvantage against people who are more squeaky clean. What if someone bribes Facebook? Doesn't this, I would think in a normal situation, if a corporation of any means that was involved with communications technology were doing this, people would immediately ask that question. What if a bribe occurs? What if blackmail occurs? What if one candidate funds Facebook to ban their opponent, keep them off the platform? What if this metastasizes? What if Google and Twitter decide to do the same? You could see like a Loomer situation where someone who is a legitimate registered candidate has legitimate registered, they've got contributions, they've got a pulse with regards to the election. Maybe some of them even been sponsored by political parties. They are then put at a disadvantage by billionaires. Think about this to all of you Democrats out there that'll cheer this on because you think it's about suppressing the Nazis. You're essentially saying that multi-billionaires should have complete control over who uses those platforms to campaign. Do you think that's a good idea? I thought you were the party of fuck the billionaires, eat the rich. Well, that's really interesting because there's a reason why Elizabeth Warren's pissed at Facebook maybe right now. I hope Zuckerberg takes weed tonight. I hope Mark Zuckerberg gets wasted on LSD. And he says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to punish that goofball. I'm going to ban her off of Facebook. And then I'm not going to let her back on and say, look, no, Warren and Warren campaign stuff isn't allowed on the platform. No, you're not allowed here. You've been previously banned. Do a roundabout. Ban her for harassment. We've seen other major individuals banned off the... Tommy Robinson got banned off of half these platforms. Again, Laura Loomer, an individual with a political pulse, a significant fan base, mass banned across most of the internet, is no longer able to use most of these platforms. By the way, is still doing just fine. You'd think at some point, why not Elizabeth Warren? She's not even the nominee yet. She's just campaigning to become the nominee. Fucking ban her off Facebook. That would be interesting. I bet the Democrats would be singing a different tune about censorship very quickly. It's interesting, by the way, that when you hear their response to how censorship should be done away with or monopolistic business practices, oh, just break up the monopolies. Break Google into tiny chunks. Break Facebook up. How are you going to accomplish this? Let's say you decide Facebook is monopolistic. What do you break it into? Facebook and what else? Facebook and Facebook Messenger? Facebook and a server full of names and data and stuff that Zuckerberg can sell to China over and over again? What are you going to break it into? What about Google? I mean, are you going to force Zuckerberg to sell Instagram or something? That would be interesting. Waging that court battle would take so long and so much money you'd never recoup the loss. These people are way worse than the robber barons, and half of these Democrats, by the way, have taken money from them. So Facebook is openly proclaiming an intent, not just a willingness to possibly do this, but an intent to ban people who are running for public office from the platform, from legitimate political speech and discourse and debate, based on the fact that they were banned in the past. And often it will be for bullshit reasons anyway. Dude, you can get banned off Facebook. You can get banned off Facebook for mentioning the name of the flute tutor. Well, again, it's not illegal. There's nothing unconscionable about it. Zuckerberg made an arbitrary snap decision to do so. By the way, you can go on BitChute if you're still under a rock and don't know his name. I find that unacceptable. Anyone who claims that they're a leftist and is comfortable with this is nuts. By the way, these companies, they don't want actual leftism to take hold. Silicon Valley is hyper-corporatistic. It's neither capitalistic nor a socialistic model. It's just heavily interventionist. It's just an authoritarian model. You could call it a mixed model, but that's not quite accurate. You've got something now emerging. It's sort of a cancerous mixture of the worst aspects of a corrupted capitalism mixed with socialism, if that makes any sense. Call it like a corporate super welfare. Let's try to find a new moniker for it, for what this evil really truly is. You've got corporations that are publicly traded, subsidized by states or by the federal government, given military among other contracts, and host and platform political content from people that are taxpayer funded, as well as government goods and services. For instance, Twitter, you can get NOAA weather alerts. You can get USGS alerts. You're telling me that it's acceptable for billionaires to decide that a person in a quake-prone area can be banned from using that service because they said something wrong politically. That is extremely problematic and already illegal. It's already unconstitutional what's going on in Silicon Valley. We don't need trust busting. I don't care how big and powerful these companies are, so long as they're playing nice. Just call them platforms. Stop policing the basic political content. Let people on who want to campaign. Everyone should have access. The economy of the Western world at this point is endangered by these services being cut off to private individuals. The next Nikola Tesla could get banned on Facebook or something and never end up launching their first line of patents. We could be holding our technology back 1,000 years by doing these sorts of things. Everyone should have access to these programs who is not currently incarcerated or such a lunatic that they're incapable of doing it without throwing their own poo at their computer screen. Even then, it'll at least make for an interesting YouTube video. That's about all. Peace out.